Hello and welcome to our Retire Early lifestyle. Hello everyone, thanks for being here today. We're going to talk about a few expat stories from fairy tale to nightmare abroad. Let's begin. Story number 1. Too much grief and no joy, says the American couple Ed and Joanne from California. They intended to move to Europe forever and enjoy their dream life in France. But their dream turned into a nightmare. Their first oversight Ed and Joanne had was in believing they were moving to France forever. They said they had visited France for 2 months on a vacation and they loved it. So why wouldn't they love living there, right? Wrong. We'll talk about that in a moment. Joanne and Ed said their life was good at first, but then the excitement and joy started to wear off, and that's when they said they started noticing all of the warts. A beautiful fairy tale turned into a bureaucracy nightmare. The couple said they became increasingly frustrated with the French bureaucracy. This is not surprising to us at all. Southern Europe has its own unconventional, perhaps inflexible, almost stubborn bureaucratic ways they do things. We would venture to say that Southern Europe is even more bureaucratic and frustrating than Latin America in many ways. After all, where do you think Latin America got it from? The little darling countries that make up Southern Europe are not going to change the way they do things to make tourists or expats happy. It is what it is. Unless you have enough money to buy your way into these countries by using the infamous golden visas, most expats will just have to put up with the inflexibility of these Southern European little darlings or simply not move there. They have to go somewhere else. This is Southern Europe. It's not easy unless you're an EU citizen or married to an EU citizen, and for this couple, it ended up being their nightmare. Nothing was easy. Securing a long-term visa was difficult, said Joanna, and so was the process of having their cat flown to France, which cost an extra $5,000 when all was said and done. The couple went on to say that doing even simple things were increasingly frustrating, and the complexity of opening a bank account seemed to be the last straw for Joanna and Ed. Now, before you go off thinking this couple sounds privileged or arrogant, let me tell you, they are in their 70s and supposed to be enjoying their retirement years after working all their lives from the 9-to-5 perpetual rat race, if you will. Who wants to move to another country and continue to go through the aggravation and frustrations of a rat race? And let it be known, the older we get, the more draining all of it becomes. One annoyance after another annoyance, and pretty soon you start to give up. The French simply shrug their shoulders and say, well, this is France, it's the way it is. These countries really should make it easier for the retired American folks that come in with an established perpetual income. Social Security income is forever income. Why are certain countries giving retirees such a hard time for? It just racks the brain. Most Americans bring in more Social Security income every month than the average wage earner makes in Spain, Italy, and possibly even in France every month at their job. Think of that. This means a couple moving to France will have around $4,000 coming in for as long as they are alive. Frank and I could live like kings in France on $4,000. We traveled around Europe perpetually for $1,400 a month, but most expats pay that just in rent. Seriously, we would just find the local rate, live where all the French live, and voila! We would be enjoying our new lifestyle in France. To France and Italy and Spain, we say, so now what is the problem? Why are you giving retirees such a problem for? It doesn't make any sense. If we can't open a bank account, or if we can't obtain a residency visa with proof of a perpetual income and within a normal amount of time without buying into a $500,000 golden visa, then why are we wasting our time in these countries for? This is ridiculous. And so their thinking was, since they loved France so much when they visited for 2 months, they'll love living there forever. They went as far as to say, "We'll die here." What has become very apparent is expaters aren't or won't distinguish between going abroad for an extended vacation and moving abroad permanently. But they are two very different things. Vacation is vacation, and residency is residency. Two different animals. Maybe we'll do a video on that subject if you all want. So as much as they love France, they left France and returned to the US. But Joanna and Ed made a very smart and wise decision, and that is they kept their controlled rental they had in San Fran, California, and now they have a place to go back to. Very wise decision. Joanna's last statement should be taken into careful consideration for anyone who is thinking of moving to a foreign country. "I think this country is amazing," she says, "just not to live here." And here's a hint. That can be said for just about all countries. After all, even the USA has tourists. Have we ever stopped to consider what it would be like to just be tourists in the USA? Story number 2. Meet Regina and John from Indiana. Like the previous couple, they too visited Italy for vacation and thought they got to know Italy well, and because of that, they thought retirement in Italy seemed like a great idea too. First oversight was thinking that by going to Italy several times for vacations was somehow going to assist them during the bureaucratic process of moving there permanently. And so at retirement age, which for them they both retired at the age of 62, they begin to go through the planning stages of retiring in Italy. But of course, it didn't go as planned. The couple anticipated it would be an easy visa process. After all, they visited Italy several times and knew it well, the couple said. They sold their 3-bedroom home in Indiana and shipped some essential belongings over to Italy. Wow, they're quick. They applied for the retirement visa for long-term residency. Regina said they needed to show a tax ID number. Expats that move to Italy become tax residents. And they needed to show a lease on an apartment proving they had a place to live. After 3 months living in their Italian apartment, they went back to the US to begin gathering up all the documents they would need for the visa process, and Regina said it was a nightmare. Where have we heard that before? The stumbling block happened when they were asked to show their income tax returns with their retirement income. And since Regina just stopped working that year, she didn't have the tax returns to show to the Italians, and therefore they figured they would not be approved. Apparently, they didn't even ask if there was something else she could show for documentation in lieu of the tax returns. That's what we would have done. She had the income statements to prove she had been working all those years. They may have talked to a manager in the visa office about the situation and allowed Regina and John in because obviously she would be able to provide the tax returns the very next year. They already procured a rental apartment in Italy with a long-term lease, so what's the problem? So that was strange to us, why they didn't proceed with something else to give to them. It never hurts to ask. The Italians may have said no, but who knows, maybe they would have let it go since she had proved everything else. So here is this couple from Indiana who are essentially homeless since they sold their home. They spent all that money to ship essential belongings to Italy. They leased an apartment in Italy, but can only stay there for 3 months at a time. They got on the Live Abroad forums and found out that other Americans that were denied a visa in Italy moved to Spain, and that is what they did. And so far in the first year, the couple says they are in love with Spain. But if we have to tell you, it is not Italy. They are two different countries with very different cultures, even though they're both sort of eccentric in the way they do things. If we would have known this expat couple, we would have gladly shared our experience of living abroad versus a 3-month vacation. And also, of course, for the first timers, moving to a southern European country that has often outdated and excessive rules and regulations for obtaining a residency visa, we probably would have told them to go to Bulgaria, Croatia, or Albania, which has far less bureaucracy than Italy, but with the same beautiful weather and eye candy as Italy. Nope, not promoting, just telling it like it is. We really do hope they continue to enjoy their life in Spain, but for some reason, we don't think they will last very long. People who are that easily swayed to moving to another country because the first country of choice didn't work out the way they had planned and they know absolutely nothing about the other country, well, it most likely will not work out for more than 5 years. That's just our 2 cents, but we've seen it over and over again. We learn a lot from reading stories like these. Here's what we learned from these 2 expat stories. 1. People move abroad without really considering all of the ramifications. They usually do it to fill a void that is missing in their life, whatever that may be. But we should ask ourselves, is there a way I can be content in my own country and then I can just take vacations? Number 2, moving to Southern Europe is a fad right now, and people are paying outrageous prices to get their hands on that fad. We've been watching some videos on YouTube about rental prices in Italy right now, and expats are paying way over the top for apartments. You're getting snockered over there. Video coming soon on that phenomenon. Number 3, vacation versus residency is 2 very different animals. One is not a care in the world, and the other is one frustration after another just to obtain our necessities to live. These stories may seem like nightmares to the people who had to experience them, but they are learning tools for people who haven't moved abroad yet. Use them to your advantage. What did you learn from these stories? What stood out the most for you? Sometimes we only glean one thing in a whole article or video. What was that for you in this video? Don't think that these things won't happen to you either. People do that with crime all the time. They brush it off saying, it won't happen to me. I know how to handle myself. I feel safe. And then it happens to them. Do what you will with the information and glean what you can. We hope you enjoyed that. Thanks everyone. Take care and be blessed. Bye-bye.